Some goals are very hard to reach, some not so hard. Now, that's why climbing is often used as an inspirational metaphor for reaching your goals. It's well into a new year. You're probably set yourself some goals for the year, maybe even for the new decade. And so today we're going to talk about climbing to the top of the mountain, wanting to reach the top of the mountain, even though you know it's going to be hard, even though you know the trip may be long. We're going to have a chat with Tom Corley, my co-author of Rich Habits, Poor Habits, in our monthly Rich Habits, Poor Habits podcast that I run between the regular Michael Yardney podcast. We're going to show you how you can prepare yourself for the path that you may need to take to reach the top of the mountain. You know it yourself, every mountain requires a climb. Sometimes the hill is steep, sometimes it's moderate. Some people have smaller legs and they need more steps, while others have got giant legs and require less energy. Sometimes you're physically strong, you've got lots of muscles and you can run up the hill. Sometimes you're a bit weaker, you've got to rest every couple of meters like me. Regardless of your circumstances, climbing to the top of the mountain requires effort. Getting to the top of your field requires effort. The thing that determines if you're going to make it to the top is whether you believe you can or not. You know what they say, if you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right. Well, we're going to have a fun chat with Tom Corley, and I invite you to climb to the top of your mountains. So welcome to this episode of the Michael Yardney podcast.
Welcome to the Michael Yardney podcast, where twice each week you will learn a number of new ideas regarding success, property investment and money in around 30 minutes. Our show is brought to you by Metropole, who specialise in helping you grow, protect and pass on your wealth through strategic property and wealth advice. Now here's your host, Michael Yardney, Australia's most trusted property commentator who has once again been voted Australia's leading property investment advisor. That's the fifth time he's won a similar award in the last 7 years.
It's a new year and you've probably set yourself some great goals for 2020. In fact, for the new decade ahead. But you know what? Most people aren't going to keep their New Year's resolutions. Most people aren't going to reach the goals that they achieve. They're just going to be dreams. Most people are going to quit shortly after they start. I guess most people aren't even going to start. The problem is everyone wants to be on the top of the mountain, but very few are willing to make the climb to get there. And that's what I'd like to have a chat with Tom Corley about today. So happy New Year, Tom. Welcome to a new decade.
Yeah. Cheers, Michael. I hope it's a good year for both of us.
Well, we've known each other a long time and we've seen our own personal lives and our families grow, and our readership for our books has grown and our podcast has grown. So I think one of our missions is to actually educate as many people as possible to help them get to the top of their mountain, to become financially independent. I think one of my disappointments, Tom, is despite all the information out there, most people don't get there. And that's not right.
No, they don't get there. But trust me, Michael, they're looking up at the people who did get there. And they're saying, I want exactly what they have. I want the Bentley. I want the big house by the water. I want to have this and I want to have that. But what they don't understand is that person who's at the top of the mountain probably spent a good 10 to 12 to 15 years climbing that mountain, pushing the ball up the hill. It was nothing but stress and struggle and risk, risking time and money, making mistakes, and that costs you time and money. And, making sacrifices, the enormous sacrifice you have to make while you're climbing the mountain. It affects the family. It affects your friends. You've got to be willing to make that sacrifice. And, I would say 90% of the people are just not willing to make that sacrifice, Michael.
Many years ago, you did a 5-year study and you asked 361 rich and poor people 144 questions, and you dug deep to find out what the difference was. And one of the things that you found out, and it didn't really surprise me, is that only 3% of the people that you spoke to pursued their dreams, stuck with them till they succeeded. At some point along the journey, 97% quit. Why was that?
Well, I think they go into the pursuit of some business or some dream, some entrepreneurial pursuit. They have these preconceived notions, Michael, that aren't based in reality. So when they start pursuing their dream and they start running into obstacle after obstacle, it kind of stops them in their tracks, and they're like, maybe, what am I doing wrong? Is this, maybe I should quit? This is too hard. But what I found, in it's really kind of a simple rule, and I apply it to my life, is you never quit on a dream. The people who quit on their dreams never become successful. The self-made millionaires who keep at it and persist and are relentless, they're forced to pivot along the way. They make adjustments. They learn something from one mistake that they apply to their lives going forward, and they don't make those mistakes again. So it's a process. I mean, if you think about it, when you're doing something new or pursuing a dream or starting a new business, the first 5 years are just going to be a learning experience. It's a learning curve. And it's figuring out what to do and what not to do is part of the process. Well, if you're going to quit because the going gets hard, you're never going to really learn what you needed to learn in order to succeed.
I think one of the challenges is that you get all these things on social media, on the internet, which says, just take my course and you'll get 100,000 followers on Instagram. Just do my course and you'll build your list. Just come to my weekend workshop and you're going to become rich. You can quit your day job. That's not the way it works. It's unrealistic. So on social media, you see people's highlight reels. You don't see all the bits on the cutting room floor. And life is hard. There are obstacles in the way. Jobs are difficult to get if you want to get to the top of the tree at your work. Obstacles are going to happen when you set up a business or start your profession. It's meant to be hard. In fact, most people get overwhelmed with it all, and the easy way is to quit. But those who get to the top of the tree recognize that the reward at the end is worth it. If it was easy, Tom, there wouldn't be a big reward, would there?
No, and that's a great point. The whole reason why some of these people become, uber millionaires and they have, 10, 15, 20 million dollars is what I found in my research is that it's not like it's incremental, maybe a little bit incremental at some point, but then all of a sudden it's almost like all of the learning, all of the mistakes, everything sort of comes together at some point, and they start realizing enormous windfalls year after year after year. And they might have one good year, maybe the next year's even, the next year it's even better, next year's even, but it's kind of once you turn the corner on this, you start realizing an enormous amount of wealth. It's getting to that point, and I like to talk about this a lot. It's staying in the game long enough for the opportunity, which creates the opportunity for good luck to happen. If you quit, you lose that opportunity luck. You'll never get lucky if you quit. So you got to stick with it for a long time.
Sure. So if you've set yourself some goals for 2020 or for this whole new decade, if you've got a dream, if you've got a big goal, if you've got a major initiative, accept the fact that along the way, you're going to have problems. You're going to have more obstacles to overcome. You're going to have more pitfalls to crawl out of. You're going to have more conflict. You're going to have more stress, more heartache. People are going to say, hey, you can't do that. When they say that, Tom, they're actually saying to themselves, aren't they? Rather than telling you can't do that, you can't achieve that, somebody else has already done that. You are going to have naysayers there coming out telling you it's impossible.
Oh, and it happens all the time. I can't tell you how many stories. In fact, somebody was just telling me a story. They started a business. It's a restaurant that's kind of popular in the shore area in New Jersey. It's called the Butter Biscuit. And the woman who started it, her entire family said, "Are you out of your mind? You're going to be under so much debt. You're probably going to end up going bankrupt. Most restaurants do. You're going to work these ridiculous hours. Well, she just loved the idea of her business and doing what she did. And that Buttered Biscuit restaurant is now one of the top restaurants in one of the shore towns in New Jersey. It's so popular that there's a waiting line to get in. If you go in and say 8 o'clock in the morning, because it's a big breakfast place, they tell you just come back in 2 hours. It's just so packed, and everyone was wrong. Everyone in her circle was wrong. They said she wasn't going to be successful. She's going to be in debt. She bought the building. She makes more money than she knows what to do with. She just paid off a mortgage in her house. It's, so people don't know what they're talking about when in your herd, in your inner circle, they don't know what they're talking about unless they did it themselves. Those are the only people really that you want to be talking to. The people that actually pursued something and succeeded and maybe failed, because the failures, learning from the failures are just as important as learning the accomplishments. But it's the people
anyone
that
who succeeded, sorry to interrupt you, Tom, but anyone who succeeded clearly has failed, and the pursuit of success is about facing problems. You've got to accept that, and realizing success is all about solving problems that you're going to face along the journey is critical to you becoming successful. In other words, if other people could solve those problems, they'd be the boss of the company, they'd be the entrepreneur, they'd own the Buttered Biscuit restaurant, and they'd be the rich ones. So it's the person who solves the problems that gets ahead. But not surprisingly, most people avoid pursuing their dreams because they look at that mountain, they see those problems, and they say, oh, too many obstacles to overcome. They don't actually have the courage to get there. I think the other thing they need to get to the top of the mountain, Tom, is to have a Sherpa, have a trainer, have a coach, have a guide to get them there, somebody who's already done it a couple of times. Much easier to do it than try to do it on your own.
Oh, boy, you're a big advocate of coaching, and I told you that I recently got a coach to help me grow my speaking business. And I have to tell you, they just know so much. The best coaches, in my opinion, are the ones that are doing whatever it is that you want to do. And it's worth paying them. They're worth every penny. They can, first of all, one or two bits of advice could get the light bulb going off in your head and light a fire under your butt. They could also open doors for you because they're doing what you want to do. So they know the people that you need to get in touch with. So it's just, the Sherpas or the coaches that you're talking about. Having a mentor is one of the ways to fast track success. It shortens the period from 20 years down to 12 years.
Well, I've always had business coaches and mentors. Well, not always, but almost for 2 decades now. And it's definitely one of the things that I have put down to my business success, because they see your blind spots. They have transformational conversations with you. They're actually paid to be a little bit blunt and tell you some of the hard truths that your friends don't see. And so that's one of the things that's helped me and my team at Metropole. And, a year ago, I put together a program with Mark Creedon, who has been my business coach, now my business partner, Business Accelerator Mastermind. And we've been thrilled to see the success of ordinary business people and entrepreneurs, professionals who've taken on this business coaching program and gotten to the next level. So yes, the mountain is difficult. It's hard to climb, but you don't have to do it on your own. And I think one of the things we mentioned a while ago is that you are going to fail. But I'm a real success at failure. I've just gotten up one more time. I've persisted. And that's one of the rich habits, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, look, I just working on an article on this, what are your greatest mistakes? You should really be focusing on your mistakes and writing them down and studying them, because in the mistakes is where the learning is. You want to make mistakes. If mistakes
no, I don't. I don't like them. But that's the trouble. That's what we all say. That's what we all think. Right. We don't like it. But it depends how you classify it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I now look, I have almost a love affair with my mistakes, in that I love talking about them, because I screwed up so badly so often that it's almost comical, the mistakes that I've made. And I feel like, hey, I haven't enough self-esteem now that I don't care what people think about my screw ups. So I'm more than happy to talk about it. And one of the guys that runs my financial planning group, every time he goes up to give a talk to our group, the group of reps, he likes to at least mention one or two screw ups that he's had over the years. And it's so entertaining, and it's such a learning event for me. I just get a lot out of it. And I just love people that love to talk about their mistakes, because those are the people that are actually teachers.
Now, it's interesting because I remember one of my mentors, the late Jim Rowan, said it's a real pity that failures don't give seminars, because you'd learn a lot more from them than you would from successful people. But he said that people wouldn't pay to go along to see failures. But I think you and I recognise that one can learn from other people's mistakes. Much better to learn from them than to learn from your own. But you've got to recognise that you will make some along the way. And that's why the mountain seems so high, seems so tortuous, because you're scared of making those, of falling, of slipping. But you only slip back a little bit and then you get up again.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you look at it and your expectations are right out of the gate, this is going to be a long, hard haul, you're going to be fine, because your expectations are going to be met, because it is a long, hard climb. So it's the people that have the wrong expectations, the ones that think, I'm a little bit smarter than the average bear, I'm a harder worker than the average person, I'm this or that, and the other people aren't. You're going to be very disappointed, because the fact is, a lot of the people who start businesses and fail and get up again and succeed, well, the only thing that made that possible was persistence. And if you think that you're better than everybody else, and then you run into a mistake or you fail, you're gonna just beat yourself up to the point where you're just never going to want to pursue something again, because the feeling of failing, your expectation was something completely different, and you just don't want to go through that emotional experience again for the rest of your life. So if you go in with the right mindset that this is going to be a long, hard haul, a long climb, it's going to be arduous, and you're going to make a lot of mistakes, you're going to be fine. You're going to succeed as long as you never quit, because your expectations are going to be met.
One of the things I learned from Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, is that one of the traits of successful people is they have a burning desire. And that's one of the things that keeps them going. And I remember when I was listening to this book in an audio format and I was reading the book, a friend of ours, Chris, his daughter was training for the Olympics. And when I thought each morning, I'm going to get up and I'm going to walk on my treadmill, but in the comfort of my heated and air-conditioned home, she was up every morning running, training in the cold, in the wet, in the heat. She had the burning desire. She wanted to be in the Australian Olympic team, and she actually got there. She was a world champion rower. So that's what you need to climb the mountain. Otherwise, the hardships, the challenges will get in the way.
Yeah, and you're getting onto a topic which could be a whole nother podcast, but the point is that if whatever it is that you're pursuing doesn't wake you up in the morning with and infuse you with enthusiasm, if you wake up instead and say, oh crap, I got to go and push the ball up the mountain again, the people that are pushing the ball up the mountain have a smile on their face. They just absolutely love what they're doing. And they don't care that there are all sorts of stop signs, obstacles, U-turns that they have to make. Pursuing success is a lot like climbing monkey bars. It's not an upward climb. You have to go left. Sometimes you got to go down. Sometimes you got to go to the right. It's going to be one of these pursuits that is causing you to go in all sorts of different directions. It's not necessarily just a vertical uphill climb. It's you could find yourself going backwards for a year. And my point is, if you understand that what you're pursuing is going to be hard, and you're doing it for the right reason because you love it, and it's something that when you get up in the morning you can't wait to get your teeth into, even though it's not making you any money at the present moment, you're going to stick with it, because that love for what you're doing is what keeps the fire burning inside of you.
And of course, when you reach the top of the mountain, people are going to say, look, he's lucky. Look, she's lucky. But it's not. They've persisted. When you persist, luck will favour you. That unexpected luck, it could be a ski lift that carries you effortlessly to the top of the mountain. But the key is that persistence has to come first, and then luck will find you. When you get to the top of the mountain, the first thing you're going to notice there is, Tom, there aren't many people there. And that's because all the people at the bottom of the mountain are looking up at you. Tom, I remember, I don't know whether they had them in America when I was young at school, they had autograph books. You'd get your teachers at the end of the school or celebrities to put their autograph in the book. Did they have those back when you were young too?
Yeah, I used to love that in school. You'd be finishing up like this, one of the grades, 6th grade, 5th grade, 7th grade, and you get all of your classmates who you're going to see in about 2 months sign your autograph book, and then you have that for the rest of your life. I still have some of my autograph books.
Well, my headmaster, when I finished primary school, wrote something that just came back to me. He said, "There's plenty of room at the top for those who are willing to work for it." There's plenty of room at the top for those who are willing to work for it. And I guess that's the message that we're trying to give in today's podcast, our monthly Rich Habit, Poor Habit podcast, that at the bottom of the mountain, there's going to be lots of people looking up. But if you reach the top of the mountain, there's lots of room for you as long as you're willing to climb there. Thanks once again, Tom. And at the beginning of a new year, look forward to having these monthly chats with you. And we're going to keep doing our regular videos as well, that people can catch up with us on YouTube. And if they want to find out more from you, every morning you put out a new blog at richhabits.net. And in between, they can catch up with your blogs or property updates. But if they want to get more about our information, richhabits.poorhabits.com, where you're going to be able to get a copy of our book, or you can get it on Amazon, and it's become an international bestseller. Very proud of that. Thank you for your time, Tom.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. It's always great talking with you.
Well, now you know a bit more about mountain climbing. Well, it really wasn't mountain climbing, was it? But you've got a path to follow to achieve the success you want. And I remember reading a quote that went something like this: over every mountain there's a path, although it may not be seen from the valley. So you may not know which path to take at the moment, but don't give up. Of course, as you go along your path to your journey that you want to do to get to the successes you want to achieve, there's going to be people who are going to stop you. There are people who are going to actually say it can't be done. You're going to hear things like, oh, that mountain's stupid. Oh, that's an unrealistic goal that you've got. Oh, no one's ever done that before. You don't even know how to climb it. And we're not talking about the mountain, of course, do you? Or you haven't got the muscles to climb it. And again, we're not talking about the mountain, are we? Or it's going to take too long to climb. Or you've tried it in the past and it's failed. Or how many times you have to fail before you understand? You're never going to succeed doing it that way. Climbing is too hard. If you're not born at the top of the mountain, you're never going to get there. That's one that people say, isn't it? I'll tell you which mountain to climb. I'm only going to support you if you climb the mountain I want you to climb. If you want my support, it gives me the right to tell you what to do. Climbing means you're betraying me, leaving me behind. Oh, there's all these things that people are going to say to you along the way to stop you following the path that you've dreamed of for yourself. Don't let them stop you. And along the way, you're going to enjoy the journey. And I remember, as I said before, the quote taught to me by one of my teachers, my principal, when I left school: there's plenty of room at the top for those who are willing to work for it. So don't give up along your journey, even if you tumble down occasionally. If you enjoyed this show, please share it with somebody who you think will get some inspiration from it as well. There's a share button at the bottom of every podcast app, and you can just tell them about it the old-fashioned way or through social media. If you want to understand more about the works of Tom Corley and me, why not get a copy of our book, Rich Habits, Poor Habits? You can get it on Amazon. You can get a Kindle version. You can get a hard copy version. You can go to richhabitspoorhabits.com, and we'll post you out a version as well. In between, you can catch up with Tom's regular blogs on my property update website, and you'll get lots of more information from me and a whole group of experts on money, finance, psychology of success. It'll help you reach your goals, climb your mountain. And of course, twice a week, I bring you these regular Michael Yardney podcasts. If you're enjoying them, why not leave a review? Hopefully it'll be a good one, but just tell us what you think. We love reading those reviews, and if I read yours out on the show, I'm happy to gift you a copy of any of my books. Maybe you're going to want Rich Habits, Poor Habits. I look forward to catching up with you again real soon. In the meantime, have a great week. Make it a great week.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Michael Yardney podcast, which was brought to you by Metropole, who help their clients grow, protect, and pass on their wealth through strategic property and wealth advice. If you like what you heard and don't already subscribe, you'll find us on iTunes or on your favourite Android app as the Michael Yardney Podcast. Watch out for our next show, which comes to you twice a week, and you'll learn some new ideas about property investment, success and money in around 30 minutes. To get more of Michael's thoughts, go across to www.propertyupdate.com.au and sign up for his daily morning briefing, and you'll hear from not only Michael but a group of leading property success and money experts. And just a reminder that the information you heard in this show today is general educational advice and not specific investment advice, as we don't know your personal circumstances. If you're looking for specific advice, why not ask the team at Metropole to help you?